Hey everybody, Keith's Care Innovations. Just a quick overview on how to remove or replace your wiring harness and check everything out. First thing we're going to do is take the head off here, loosen the screw, give it a slight twist, and then very carefully ease this out. Now you'll see we should have a zip tie there. You don't have to cut it. You should be able to just lift that up and you can actually reuse that. Unplug this right here. Real quick, this is the red wire from the power switch. This is the main black wire of the entire wiring harness that goes all the way through to the battery. And this here is the button wire. Now, the button wire doesn't matter which side because it's merely a contact. You can have red or black. It's just basically two here on the left, looking from the top. So red on the outside, ground next to right here. So we're going to go ahead and undo these. Now we're going to pull this wire, the ground wire, and this here is your quick connect, and this contains the heavy red wire that goes to the main wiring harness all the way to the battery, and it connects to the black wire from the switch. Pick those up. Now the way you do the switch, take a small flathead screwdriver, push in there, kind of pry it up. So here is your switch wire. There was the black wire that goes to the quick connect. This here goes all the way to the power plug on that side right there. Also, we need to remove the button wire usually. Now the reason we do this is to make the wiring harness easier to slide through, because this protrudes down in here now. I'm going to just pull it out this far so it's out of the way. So now you're going to have to push on the wiring harness a little bit to get it to come loose. And you may need needle nose pliers to reach and grab the Velcro and pull the wiring harness out. So there, the wiring harness is fully removed. So now to insert or replace your wiring harness, you'll have two ends stripped. This is stripped a little longer so it can bottom out inside this connecting, and that right there goes into the green connector, the second pin right there. So with the switch removed and the button pulled out like this here so it doesn't get in the way, now we can snake the wiring harness through here. And usually turn it sideways because otherwise the wire will try to come out one of the holes. Now what I usually do is leave the Velcro so I can grab it, and then I take a Phillips screwdriver here or just anything and push this all the way until the wires come out right here to this point. So now we can put our green connector on there. So this connector here, the ground, goes to this pin right here. I usually do that way it's easier to grab. Doesn't matter what order actually. Here we're going to put a quick connector on the positive wire from the battery, the wiring harness. And now we put the switch in. So the switch wires go forward like this right here. Switch wire. So remember, the black wire from the switch goes to the red wire from the wiring harness, just like that. Now the red wire from the switch goes here on the far right side. And now we can put our button wires in. Put the button wires in on the left. Okay. Now, a lot of times I will try to shove this down a little bit if I can with the wire. But from the other end, now you need to try to reach the Velcro. There's a couple of ways to do that. One is to bang it, and that can get it through there. You can use needle nose pliers to get the Velcro. So now we pull that down to just where we have this part right here. So now we can put the head back on and make sure that clicks in. What I usually do is put it against the edge of this and then pull till there's a solid click. You don't want to push, you want to hold the green connector to green connector. Now we can take our zip tie, or you can put a brand new one on. I found that usually, not always, usually I'm able to reconnect this right here. Just like that right there. Now, I usually leave the button wire loose and the switch wire, so when I shove this in, they can come out and give slack. They don't push back on there. Now, when you go back to screw it, if you get it lined up on the hole, you'll feel it, and it'll sometimes even line up the stick. Tighten that right there. Now, usually on this, I usually fold and push this backwards. It's your preference. I usually put power to the top, like that right there, on and off. Now, on the button, it's your preference. What I usually do is put the what I call the button holder in first, because that way it can actually snap in, and then I push the button in there. Now, if your button is loose, one easy thing to do is just to put a little piece of tape around that and shove it in. It'll actually make that pretty solid. And there we go. That's how to replace your wiring harness.